Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. How you doing this fine Monday? And Happy New Year!
Yes, sir. Woo! It is Happy New Year. It is a celebration. Not really. Kind of is. We're going to celebrate a little bit. I don't know. Pop champagne later. Who knows, James? No, but it is the new NFL year. It's the new Steelers by the Lake year. If you're listening on any kind of, podcast show or whatever, you'll realize that it does say SBL 2023 episode 1. So we're starting the new year. New year, new us, James. Same Pittsburgh Steelers, your favorite team in the NFL, my boy.
It's the same there, but it's so much different with this activity.
So much different. There's a lot going on. We're going to cover all of it. Don't worry. And then at the end, we are going to briefly discuss another mock draft that we did. We'll also post that to social media again for you guys. We wanted to do that a little bit quicker, but we wanted to do one because of all the moves that we're going to discuss that happened since our last episode. So there's a lot going on. But James, there's something we want to talk about before that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the 11-year anniversary of one Mr. Hines Ward retiring as a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Dang.
Pretty awesome career that he had. Been a semifinalist to the Hall of Fame for like the last 4 or 5 years in a row now, I think. So just pretty cool to look back on it. A lot of people posting videos and quite the memorable player and a smile nobody will forget.
Yeah. I might have to share something from Hines to our social media account after this, potentially, if I can find a video to share or something. The man is a legend in Pittsburgh, not only for his receiving ability, and I shouldn't even say not only, mostly for his blocking ability, for his tenacious blocking skills, breaking jaws and laying people out. Hashtag Mr. Ed Reed himself. And more than anything, James, I think he was mostly known for that smile that he always got up with. And his Mickey Mouse tattoo, man. He was known for a lot. Hines Ward was one of my favorite players growing up, for sure. It was Hines and Troy were the top two for me.
Yeah, I understand that. That was like that second wave of guys for me. You know, I grew up in the Greg Lloyd and Rod Woodson era.
Yeah.
But when that second generation came along and started winning Super Bowls, man, Hines had such a huge part of why that happened.
Yeah.
Huge reason for success in those years, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The future generation of the Steelers hopefully being formed as we speak for what will be the next generations of Super Bowl champions. A lot of what you talk about, you look at this last year's Super Bowl, and both of these teams had dominant offensive line play, right?
Oh, so absolutely.
We now have the assistant general manager, Andy Weidel, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles, as recently as not this last season, but the season before. What's he go out and do? One of the first moves Pittsburgh makes after Patrick Peterson that we covered last episode is Nate Herbig, a guard originally with the Philadelphia Eagles, last year with the New York Jets, a 2-year, $8 million deal. What you need to know about Nate Herbig is that he is shaped like a house and moves everything, including houses.
That's what we love to hear. That is it, James.
He's big mauling individual, and I don't know to see his interview, but the guy couldn't stop smiling and gushing. He's so
just
excited
happy
to
be here. Just happy to be here, man. That's what he kept saying.
So excited to play for the Steelers. He has a really high opinion of Andy Weidel. So that goes a long way, I think, with these guys. And it immediately upgrades the interior offensive line group. When this signing happened, I thought, man, this guy might be able to supplant Kevin Dotson, maybe win the starting job from him. So there will be more on that position later on in the episode here. But an immediate improvement as far as the depth on the interior offensive line, because now your top backup guard becomes one of the two of them, either Dotson or Nate Herbig, and you're comfortable with either one of them as a backup. That's a drastic upgrade at the backup guard position. And if he ends up starting, great. If not, he's an awesome backup guard.
I agree. Can't agree more. And I'm excited for what's happening with the offensive line position. Again, we'll get into that a little bit more later. Steelers did sign DeMonte KZ to a 2-year, $6 million deal. Not too expensive, in my opinion, right around, I would have liked to see him in the $5 million range. But again, when you think about how well he played when he came in those 3 safety sets, he played very well last year, in my opinion. I didn't see him making any big mistakes or missing tackles or anything like that. And then they went right ahead and kept it on the defensive side of the ball, signing Larry Ogunjobi to a 3-year, $28.75 million deal. Hey, you know what, Larry, I think you should make that a little bit more equal and go ahead and throw that $0.75 million our way. We'll give you a fair 28. You know what I'm
saying? I'm betting that the math works easier with the 0.75. And
it probably does. It probably does.
But I'm real big on this KZ signing. I wasn't sure Pittsburgh was going to be able to afford him, honestly.
No.
You were hoping for a smaller number. I was convinced he was going to get a lot more money than that. I thought somebody was going to look at it and say, hey, he played half a year, had 2 picks, played great while he was out there. You know, it's easy to think that in a starting role, he would have gotten 4 or 5 interceptions.
Oh, easily.
So I'm ecstatic to have him back. And one of the underestimated things here is, Pittsburgh's trying to figure out who's going to play slot corner next year, right?
Yep.
Is it going to be Arthur Mollett again? He really wasn't that good in coverage. Great against the run, great blitzing the quarterback. All the other corners seem to be exterior guys. None of them are really slot corner types.
Yep.
KZ has capability in the slot. He can play slot corner. So if he doesn't end up as the starting strong safety, which we don't have on the roster right now, by the way, if he doesn't end up playing that position, then maybe we see a lot of him in nickel in that slot corner type position. So
maybe
I love the versatility. I love the skill level. Larry Ogunjobi, man, I was really hoping to move on. I'm going to be honest. If we get the Larry Ogunjobi of 2021 or even 2020, then this is a fantastic signing. But what we got out of him last year, I personally was disappointed. I think he got a little bit better as the season went on, got a little more pressure on the quarterback. But I want to see more. If he only gets a sack and a half this upcoming season,
waste of money.
And the way they structured the contract, you're able to get out of it after the first year. There's not a whole lot of guaranteed money. You can terminate him before that roster bonus hits in 2024. He's got to show it. Just because he got this deal does not mean he's home free and he's getting paid, big bucks for the next 3 years. He's got to show that he's got more in the tank, because I felt like what we saw last year, nowhere near enough. But also there's not a lot of that prototype available in this upcoming draft class.
Yeah, it's a safe signing for him, and it's a safe signing for us. It's saying, hey, I'm going to go out and prove it. You can keep me. And it's saying for us, hey, if you don't prove it, we're getting rid of you. So we like that. Someone who's not going to be playing in the black and gold anymore, but instead the black and silver, Robert Spillane goes to the Las Vegas Raiders on a 2-year, $9 million deal. Good for him. Middle linebacker room's getting small.
yeah, great for him. Honestly, I'm ecstatic for him that he got that much money. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought Pittsburgh was going to be able to bring him back for $2 or $3 million a year. So for him to get 4.5 a year, good for him, man. He worked his butt off from being an undrafted guy all the way to getting into the starting rotation with a high money free agent and a first round pick that was traded up for. He worked his way in with those two.
He did.
I'm pretty sure Miles Jack was probably a first round pick too when he was drafted.
Yep.
But that's the talent level of what he worked his way up to, which is just really impressive. I'll never forget the hit that he put on King Henry on the
Derrick
goal
Henry.
Line. Put Derrick Henry right on his butt in a
hurt himself while doing it, but he prevented the touchdown.
He did though. So cheers to Robert Spillane. Really appreciate all the efforts. Was he a superstar linebacker for Pittsburgh? No. But he was a lot better than anybody could have really expected for an undrafted guy. And excellent in my book, as far as what we got out of him versus the investment.
Yeah. Talk about investment. Pittsburgh invested their entire dang near coaching staff and upper management to the Clemson Pro Day. And James, you believe that's because of a specific somebody who they happen to take out to dinner later on.
Yes. Yeah. There's multiple highly skilled dudes coming out of Clemson this year, right? A lot of people talking about the defensive lineman, Brian Brisset, one of the top defensive interior dudes, right? The 6'5", 290-pound guy. I don't like the arm length, and it's very inconsistent on tape as far as his effort in production. He had less than 10 sacks in his entire college career. I'm not real big on that for a first round dude. What I am big on is a middle linebacker with the athleticism and build very similar to Ryan Shazier, and that's exactly who Pittsburgh took to dinner the night before the pro day in Trenton Simpson.
Interesting.
So, and a lot of people have him as the number one middle linebacker in this upcoming draft class, not Pro Football Focus. We'll get to that later. But he's just somebody that's highly skilled, great instincts, really fast, good length, strong for the size that he is. I want to say he was like 22 reps on the bench at 6'2", 235. That's really good. So you're getting everything that you're looking for. Elite athleticism, good length, and good instincts and tackling capabilities. So that's something I think Pittsburgh will be highly interested in and could definitely be an option at 17 in the first round for Pittsburgh.
How many reps on the bench did you think?
22.
You are wrong. 25.
25. He's stronger than I realized. That's actually really impressive for a guy that size, you know?
Yeah, so we'll take that. But you know what, James? I'm not sold on the middle linebacker thing. Pittsburgh still potentially might have Devin Bush. Potentially, Miles Jack is still there. We'll see what happens. And then you know what? Pittsburgh goes ahead and signs a middle linebacker by the name of Cole Holcomb to a 3-year, $18 million deal. He's 26 years old. 2 years ago, he put up this stat line, and 2 years ago we're talking about because last year he was injured and didn't play at all. 142 tackles.
Some of the season.
Some of the season. My apologies.
Yeah.
142 tackles, 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick six, 1 forced fumble, and a fumble recovery 2 years ago in his last full year of playing. So that's great. We addressed the middle linebacker position. We got the backups there. There's 4 guys on the roster right now. It's a decent thing. We'll see how it goes. And then we went ahead and restructured Minkah Fitzpatrick. Got to make sure we have money to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little more on the thing before we move too far.
Yeah, go Cole.
He was the same draft class as Devin Bush, was just a 5th round guy. At the time of his draft, he was 6'1" and change 230, but he ran a 4.48. He was the 22 reps on the bench that I was thinking of. That's where I got that from.
There you go.
But his vertical, his broad, everything highly athletic dude. Any pictures and videos you see of him more recently, he's not 230 anymore. Dude's rocked up. I bet he's probably closer to 240, 245 now. So a guy on the upswing as far as his capabilities. And I think honestly would have commanded a lot more had he been fully healthy all of last season. But there's people worried about, was he going to be fully available this upcoming season? Looks like this might be a real diamond in the rough. We'll see. If we get anything like that production was from 2021 in his last fully healthy season, holy cow, am I ecstatic about that. There's a play out there that he got a run blitz right up the A gap between the center and the guard, if you're not familiar with where the A gap is. And he came right up there. The running back came up to meet him, and he just trucked him. Just like Vince Williams used to do all the times of those running backs when they tried to block him. He just ran him straight over. And this was against the Cowboys. And then he went and got Zeke. Or not Zeke, he went and got Dak. It got Dak to the ground on the play. Got a sack.
Well, no one has Zeke right now, so that's fine.
No. And Zeke, it might have been Zeke because Zeke is known for getting run.
Yep. Fair enough. So then, obviously, Pittsburgh restructured Minkah. We talked about that. Pittsburgh tenders 0, James, a big fat 0 of their restricted free agents.
I did not see that coming, my friend. I thought for sure at least James Pierre, and then maybe the wide receiver Sims.
Maybe, but no.
I thought one of the two of them for sure, maybe both.
Nope.
Nobody. And I think it's because the number's gotten too big. It used to be you slap that little tender on them and it's like 1.75 or whatever, It's all the way up to like 2.75 or 2.8 or something now. It's just too much money. I think that's what's happening is it's too much money. And so teams aren't using it anymore because you can sign the guy for less than that. That it didn't happen, and those guys are all still out there. They're all still available free agents. So
we'll
Pittsburgh,
see.
It doesn't hold the rights to them anymore. They're not restricted free agents because they didn't tender them. They're now unrestricted.
Yep. I guess we'll see what happens, James. And you know what? Then Pittsburgh went and released Miles Jack. Turns out previous Jaguars middle linebackers just don't do that well at all. Joe Schobert was a no-go. Miles Jack a no-go. So you know what? I can understand you now wanting to potentially draft Trenton Simpson in the first round. I get it a little bit more. Wait, no, I don't. Pittsburgh goes ahead and signs middle linebacker Landon Roberts to a 2-year, $7 million deal. Landon Roberts coming off of, I believe, his best year in the league. Did I
Yeah, I didn't see all his numbers from last year, so I can't really speak
I'm
to
going to
that.
look it up real quick.
What I can tell you is that a Landon Roberts translates very much so to like a Vince Williams type, where he's a thumper. I saw a highlight of him going one on Chubb and just absolutely trucking Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb was running the ball on the play. Collision in the hole. Landon Roberts wins. So a run stuffing type. And he's 29 years old. And I think that's kind of why that doesn't really change my mindset as far as how Pittsburgh's going to look at the draft. Because now you're saying the linebacker room, we've got newly signed Cole Holcomb, probably going to be the signal caller. He wore the green dot with the Commanders, so he's probably going to be the guy there too. Landon Roberts, an aging middle linebacker who's more of a run stuffer, not really used in pass coverage.
Yep.
Mark Robinson, who's more of a run stuffer, who's a former 7th-round pick from just last season. And then Tay Crowder.
Stop. I mean, yeah,
that's what's left though.
I know. And it was his best year. He's only played in the AFC East his entire career. He was drafted by New England, played for New England, then went to Miami for 3 years. Coming off of his best year with 107 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and that's about it. Nine stuffs. 9
tackles for loss, probably.
Yeah, that's my guess is what that is. But yeah, 4.5 is his by far best career for sacks, and it was his first 100 tackle year in his career, and he did 107. So
yeah,
so good.
So again, a guy on the rise, right? We're getting these guys on the rise. You do worry about a middle linebacker that's 29 years old, and what does he have left in the tank, especially if he wasn't super highly athletic previous to it. But I think, hey, this is at least a solid guy that you can go into the season feeling comfortable with those two as starters, right?
Yep.
We might need another guy for the opposite middle linebacker in passing downs.
Might.
Okay, probably do.
Listen, okay, so I'm not worried about the middle linebacker position. We got a Landon Roberts. We got, Devin Bush is potentially still there. Just kidding. Devin Bush signs a 1-year deal with none other than the Seattle Seahawks for $4 million. So good for him.
Good for him. I was hoping that was going to be something that would help us in the compensatory formula.
It's not.
But Pittsburgh's not done. We're not there yet. We're not at this most recent signing quite yet. Why? Because Pittsburgh also sent Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan to the Georgia Pro Day.
Interesting.
So that means they were there for the top defensive tackle. They were there for the offensive tackle, who most people have as number 1 or top 3, depending on which site you're looking at again. So some very high-end talent there in Georgia. Also, Nolan Smith, is he an edge rusher? Is he an off-ball linebacker?
Yep.
Maybe he's in that same category that we're talking about with Trenton Simpson. Very similar build, 6'2", 235. I think they're both right in around there. Maybe 238 on Nolan, I think.
Maybe. Did Tomlin and Khan both went to Clemson too, right?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah, so they basically went straight from
sure.
Clemson to Georgia.
To Georgia.
Yeah,
fair enough. But then Pittsburgh went ahead and signed another offensive lineman, a guard by the name of Isaac Samalu.
I thought they were done at the interior. I thought if they're going offensive line, tackle, because there's no real depth there. There were rumors that Pittsburgh was in the market for Orlando Brown and tried to make a play at him when the Bengals got him. But here we are, a highly productive, really skilled guard, and now it completely changes what I said earlier about Nate Herbig and Dotson and them battling it out.
Yep.
Those guys are bench warmers now. Isaac Siamalu is now your starting left guard. He's played both sides. He's played some center too. They're going to start him at left guard. I don't see how it's possible that he's not there.
So here's what Pittsburgh does, though. Here's what Pittsburgh does is they a lot of times take in, and I'm not talking about Isaac specifically. A lot of the times they take in these interior offensive guys and transition them to be more flexible, or they've even done this with the exterior or outside guys and brought them inside. We've seen the flexibility of so many guys in our past. Who was it that played guard and tackle not last year, 2 years ago? 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It might have even been 3 years ago now. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't recall. I mean, I
Or
remember
maybe
Chris
it was-
Hubbard played guard and tackle.
It was, yeah. But that's what I was thinking of. There was somebody else. It might have been center and guard, which is both interior. But either way,
Hassenauer played both.
Hassenauer, who was probably who I was thinking
Yeah.
of. But either way, don't get me wrong. Like Kevin Dotson had his best year last year. We talked about that. But the fact that you just added 2 guards in free agency that could potentially fight for that starting position, I wouldn't be surprised if during camp, especially and in preseason, they mess around with putting some of these guys at tackle. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see Isaac at tackle. I don't believe we will.
No, there's no point in moving him.
No.
He's 29. He's played his whole career at guard and center and excelled at that position. I think if you're looking at any of these guys getting any reps at tackle, maybe it's Kevin Dotson, man. He's got the build and frame for it. He's got the length for it. He doesn't have any experience doing it. That's the only thing.
You have to put him left tackle, right? You're not going to move Chooks.
No, and I wouldn't probably start him over either guy, to be honest with you. But if he can prove himself to have some capability as a tackle, now you got a guy that can be backup guard or tackle and maybe higher skilled than what you've had there before.
Maybe.
The other thing is, man, maybe they use Kevin Dotson as trade bait on draft day to try to pick up a 5th or 6th round pick that they don't have right now.
Maybe.
He's got a decent resume.
We'll get into those trade talks here just a little bit, James. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, the last thing on the list before we talk about this draft we did really quickly, the tight end coach was at the Michigan Pro Day, assuming he was there for the tight end group. Just an assumption.
He put Mr. Schoonemaker through the workout himself. So you get to see that sometimes with these guys where a special lineman coach or whatever is actually the guy that puts the player through the drill. That did happen. So that definitely says something. And he was not the only one there. There were some other coaches there as well. Sounds like Pittsburgh met with defensive lineman Mazzie Smith twice while there for it. So that's another name to keep an eye on. Mazzie looks like the kind of guy that could play edge or nose in Pittsburgh's system. Highly athletic, big, strong, great length. A lot of what you're looking for. So
we like that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. That's something to note. Especially Pittsburgh has been known to take some Michigan guys. I mean, shoot, Zach Gentry is a Michigan guy, right?
Yeah.
So
we may or may not have taken 2 in this draft we're about to talk about. So let's take a look at it real quick. I will say this. The last time we said we were specifically not going to do trades. This time we did do a trade. It's not the most likely trade I expect to happen. But it did happen, and we're gonna roll with it. And I'm mostly looking at names at this point, not the trade. But we did trade the 17th overall pick to the Buccaneers for the 19th overall pick and 2 5th-round picks, one at 153 and one at 175. Again, this was just to give us picks back in the 5th round because Pittsburgh, as of right now, doesn't have any in the 5th or 6th. So that was what we did. And then at pick 19, we went and grabbed Trenton Simpson from Clemson, again, who Pittsburgh just sent the entire staff to nearly and then had him out for dinner as well. In the 2nd round, we picked up Tyreek Stevenson, a cornerback out of Miami, Florida. Very gifted, very speedy cornerback. So liked that pick. James,
good height and length, too.
Very good height,
You've got
height and length.
The physical prototype of what they're looking for.
James, you want to go over the next 2 guys?
Yeah, at pick 49 in the
James, your mic cut out. Your mic cut out there for a second. D line again.
Defensive lineman Keanu Benton.
Wisconsin boy.
Yeah.
Wisconsin
nose tackle and defensive end capable guy. Great length, good size. He could really probably start day 1 as the nose tackle if he were the choice. Again, you guys know how my opinion as far as Alex Kozora of Steelers Depot. Highly respect his scouting capabilities, and he's really big on Keanu Benton. So I think that could definitely be something on Pittsburgh's radar. Now at round 380, we went tight end Luke Schoonemaker. Pittsburgh doesn't have a backup tight end right now. Zach Gentry hasn't been re-signed. They haven't gotten anybody else. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But if they continue at this pace, this is somebody that would definitely fit the system.
Yep.
Way more athletic than what you've got with Zach Gentry. He's more of a Pat Freiermuth type. Not a dominating blocker, but has the right frame, good movement skills, great receiving skills. I would love to have a second Pat Freiermuth on the team, and I think Schoonemaker is a very similar type player. You want to go ahead with pick 120 in the 4th round there, Cody?
Yeah, pick 120. We went with Michigan. We thought we might as well go back to the hometown team and keep it in Pennsylvania with Penn State safety Jair Brown. Jair has a lot of upside as far as coming in as a potential strong safety. Potentially playing, I would argue, year 2 starter if Edmonds doesn't come back easy. So
no doubt about it.
Even if he does come back, let's be real.
In 2021, there was a number sealed the game with an interception at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So he just has that clutch factor. Look for the Penn State Pro Day this upcoming Friday. Let's see who Pittsburgh sends. Do they send their defensive backs coach? If so, this is something that they're looking at. I would think they would definitely send him because Joey Porter and Jair Brown, they should have their eyes on both of them.
Yep.
Hopefully Jair has a little better day than he did at the combine because he was only like a 4.65 or something at the combine. If he can get into the 4.5s, I think this is somebody you definitely consider.
Yeah.
Round 5, 153, Cody. What do we got here? This is another familiar name, right?
Yeah, James, it might as well send the offensive line coach with them when they go to Penn State because Juice Scruggs, a local guy from Erie, Pennsylvania. Actually, he's from Ohio, but he played high school football in Erie, Pennsylvania. Juice Scruggs, center out of Penn State. Decent pick here, in my opinion. We got a bad grade based on PFF or Pro Football Focus, big whoops, whatever. We don't care that much. Juice Scruggs he's got a little bit of the nasty we're looking for. He's got the arm length for sure.
And the size and the strength. He was like 29 reps on the bench too.
Yep.
I think he would be an excellent option as a long-term replacement for Mason Cole. We're not looking to bench Mason Cole right out of the gate.
No.
But we can do better, right? And why not grab a guy that has the physical gifts of what you're looking for, see if you can't mold him into being that center of the future.
Yeah, you can always do better. Look at the Buccaneers going out and switching out Tom Brady for Baker Mayfield.
What a move. What a move.
What a move. James, next pick. We go back to Michigan, yes. James.
We did. So Michigan and Penn State just dominating this stretch of our mock draft. Just like we think Ronnie Bell would have the capabilities of dominating in the slot.
Absolutely.
A guy with excellent short area explosiveness. His vertical and broad jump were through the roof. A strong wide receiver as well with good size.
Yep.
This is somebody that could help out that room and get you somebody in the slot that could withstand a hit and probably bust loose on those tighter coverage kind of guys. So we wanted to get that wide receiver to add to the depth room, and by making that trade back in the first round, it allotted us a couple extra slots down there to fill some of these depth positions that we wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
Yep.
First pick in the 7th round at 234. We just found a height weight guy, right? We needed an offensive tackle. Richard Gorage. I probably blew that, Richard. Sorry.
Garage. Yeah.
He's long.
RG, what up, baby? How you doing? Welcome to Pittsburgh.
The original RG here. Good arm length, good size, coming out of Florida. So this is definitely going to be somebody that would probably be on the radar, I would think. And the last guy, Cody, you want to cover Mr. Smith?
Yeah, Terrell Smith, cornerback out of Minnesota. You're like, hang on a second, you guys got a cornerback earlier. Correct. Our cornerback room is none of them are on long-term deals, and majority of them are aging. Even the new guy, Patrick Peterson, is aging, and we signed him to a fairly long deal.
32, almost 33.
Yeah. So Terrell Smith, round 7, pick 241 out of Minnesota. Quick guy. Had some decent numbers and decent strength. Again, what Pittsburgh wants to look for. He's not going to get beat too easily off the line of scrimmage and is quick enough in the short area to develop a zone protection as well, or a decent zone coverage. So that was our draft. We will post this to our Facebook later on today at some point. I'm going to make a little graphic up, and we want you guys to go on Pro Football Focus as well. Do your drafts, share them in the comments. We want to see what you guys are doing in these comments. We want to see it. James is also going to remind you guys to do something else.
Yes. Also, shout out to Nick Pretzel. Last week, he got involved in the comment section, posted a couple of his. We're not playing around when we say, hey, if you post yours, we're going to talk about you on our next episode. Nick, really appreciate your involvement in last week's show and in the comments.
I will say this as a preventative. If you trade for every first round pick, we will not talk about that on the show.
Yeah, you're not.
I've seen some of those on being posted. It's just not worth us wasting our time to talk about it.
Yeah,
but
because these have the option for forced trade where you can just force stuff and make it happen.
Yeah. So we look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. We look forward to seeing your guys' draft as well. Thank you guys so much for listening and liking. Be sure to follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe and ring the bell. It's free. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.